Beauty, the quality or aggregate of qualities in a person or thing that gives pleasure to the senses or pleasurably exalts the mind or spirit. In our world with so many different shapes, sizes, hair, eye, and skin colors, it seems nearly impossible that we could agree on a definition of ideal beauty.
I grew up in Columbus, Ohio, and for most of my teen years I went to a small all-girls school, Columbus School for Girls.
I'm from Hong Kong, so I've always went to an international school, like an English school. For my last 2 years of high school, I went to a boarding school up north.
No one cared about how they looked. We would all kind of just roll out of bed, wake up in the morning, throw your hair up in a ponytail, throw on a headband, and go to school.
We, I guess, idolize like the Western features, like white skin, like a tall nose, big eyes, a double eyelids, and like, I guess, light hair. Just anything that has to do with, that resembles whiteness.
I would say that the ideal Western beauty is tall, thin, kind of model-like, what you see in the magazines, perfect skin, perfect hair.
And just through guidance counseling and that process, I found Rollins.
When I first started looking for colleges, I never really expected to end up at school in Florida, but then I came to Rollins and I absolutely fell in love with the campus. It's absolutely beautiful here.
Rollins is a school known for having beautiful women. Popular college ranking websites, like College Prowler, give girls at Rollins an A+ grade, and say that the students at Rollins are unusually good-looking and well-dressed. The girls are thin, well-kept, and dressed to impress.
Looking back, now that I'm a senior on the past 4 years, I definitely feel like my perceptions of beauty have changed.
I think the weather, the climate of the place has to do with it too. Because, you know, like in colder places, it's okay to be like 5 pounds heavier because you're under a coat all the time anyway, you know. But here you have to have that the beach body, the tan, and you know, yeah.
There's definitely pressure to actually perform beauty ideals that you see in the magazines and not just roll out of bed and throw on gym clothes and show up for class like how it is at a lot of schools. Here, there's definitely a very stereotypical ideal of beauty.
At boarding school or high school, you don't really have that much time. You're at school all day, but here you're, you know, whatever classes you have. So you do have a lot more time to like do whatever, like free time, I guess. So yeah, dressing up could be a part of it. I think, yeah, I mean, I personally definitely do think about what I dress.
The ways that I've seen myself personally change, I highlight my hair now, I wear makeup probably almost every day. When I go out, I always wear heels. I've noticed that I've conformed to kind of perform these ideals.
Looks are pretty important out here at Rollins, yeah.
Before I came to Rollins, I went to a public state school, and we wore like jeans and hoodies and t-shirts. And here girls wear Lily dresses, Jack Rogers. They spend a lot more time getting ready for class, so I definitely do the same to like keep up.
I think that I've started judging people's bodies more, including my own, more than I ever used to before coming to Rollins, and have had to catch myself and make myself stop thinking that way.
When I go to class, I dress up more. I went to University of Arizona before I came to Rollins, and I wore sweatpants to class there, and here I would probably dress up more. Like a lot of people wear dresses.
Every day, we are exposed to over 3,000 advertisements. And for women, their desire for bodily perfection comes less from actual interactions with people and more from the mediated relationships they form with the images of women seen on television, in advertisements, and in magazines. Therefore, exposure to media images of female attractiveness is capable of causing increased weight concern among most young women.
I believe that the folks on Madison Avenue that are trying to market products, services, everything from toothpaste to cars, they really keep tabs on what is going on with the American woman. What is she thinking? What is she feeling? What is important to her? What are the pressures that she feels? Because women are a hugely important target for advertisers.
The visual messages used to target women have the ability to blur the boundaries between a fictionalized ideal and reality. With social media sites such as Facebook, the common person is given their own media outlet to blur reality and mimic the images seen in fashion magazines and advertisements.
So the beauty ideal is often white. It's thin. It's someone who is young. She has like smooth hair. It's often long, blonde. Although it doesn't have to be. She has light eyes. She's able-bodied, generally heterosexual. If she's a woman of color, she's also light-skinned. She, is flawless. She won't have freckles.
Girls have to be skinny, tall, tan, have the perfect skin, the perfect hair.
In the fashion magazines, we see images that are on one side showing you tall, thin, blonde, fair skin is this beauty ideal, and then on the other it's this desire to have tan and be exotic.
Really photoshopped or even fake sometimes.
So we get these mixed messages, and it's easy to get caught up in wanting to try and mimic what you see and you're confronted with so often.
I think in the US more people embrace the curvy figure, but at home it's all about being thin. Mm-hmm. More a little more extreme with the weight thing. But I think that's generally because Asians are generally more skinny, so to be that ideal you have to be that much more skinny.
Perhaps I have to go back a so-called Confucian state. So in the Confucian state, the beauty of women actually a lot to do with virtue, with morality, than just physical attributes. So in that society, actually, women is very conservative. It's not they want to be, but the society forced them to be very conservative.
And I found this to be true from my own research. Out of the 60 beauty product advertisements I analyzed from the Chinese versions of Vogue, Elle, and Cosmopolitan, 26.7% of them portrayed women in a sexualized way, while in the US versions of these same magazines, 56.7% of the beauty product advertisements had sexualized females.
If you look at all these huge advertisement, the media portraits, through movies, all this, you see younger and energetic, and also appear to be, to me at least, is more like a Western-oriented beauty quality. The traditional one, I think, it still holds some kind of moral standards.
Skin whitening products are one of the most widely advertised beauty products in China. Here we have an advertisement from a Western company, Oil LA, for a skin whitening product. This is an example of how many Western companies
and at home
products specifically
people will
to
try to wear hats, and we have sun umbrellas that instead of rain umbrellas, people carry around UV umbrellas. I mean, I've never really wanted to achieve that fair skin.
Well, I think that they increasingly strive for a Western beauty ideal, or at least they're impacted by a Western beauty ideal. And so because they are marketed by Western companies, they're marketed with similar campaigns, and so even though the beauty ideal may be ethnically, nationally, regionally more specific, it still adheres to a sort of Western ideal that's based on flawless skin and a series of characteristics like being young, pretty, whatever that may be defined. Light-skinned generally.
In the Chinese versions of the popular magazines Vogue, Elle, and Cosmopolitan, Asian models are often used, but they are made to appear to have Western qualities. Here the model's eyes have been rounded, her face elongated, and her nose has been narrowed and has a prominent bridge. Here we see evidence of what Bhabha describes as cultural mimicry, where there is a desire for a reformed, recognizable other as a subject of a difference that is almost the same but not quite. Here in the West, we see an increase in products used for Asianifying the Western look. While the model here exemplifies the blonde-haired, blue-eyed, fair-skinned definition of beauty so often displayed in the media, it is evident that her eyes have been changed to have an Asian slant and her nose has been flattened. This demonstrates the Western fascination with the exotic, and that advertisers use a hybridity of qualities to create images of unattainable ideals for all races.
Well, increasingly Western images, popular culture, particularly culture that's generated within the United States, is mass advertised, right? So we see advertising campaigns that are global in nature, which is beginning to shape the perceptions of women worldwide, so that we see an increase, for example, in places like Ghana, of lightening creams for skin. We see eye surgeries that are continuing to take place in China to correct what's called like a droop. And so we see that Western advertising in a global age where people are able to get it online, where increasingly they're able to see Western advertising in shows, is changing the way that women worldwide think about themselves and their bodies.
It's a frustrating situation, but at the same time, kind of a sense of connectedness, because we realize that it's not just women in Western cultures that feel these same pressures, but it's kind of this worldwide issue for this global beauty ideal and always being told to be something else and be something better.
I mean, media affects a lot. It kind of communicates what's ideal, and it almost messes up with our perception of what's like common.
Since our environment here at Rollins is so focused on meeting these standards of beauty, I think we need to be more aware of the messages that we personally send to other people, and especially younger students, because there's always this kind of vicious cycle of performance and trying to meet certain standards.
I think people need to focus more on what's on the inside and how they feel internally rather than how people look externally.
I think it's important to make it clear to girls coming into Rollins that they don't need to live up to these unrealistic ideals of beauty, and they feel comfortable in their own skin.
Rollins is a college with a beautiful setting and beautiful people. With it being illustrated, it can be especially difficult to get past comparing the standards of beauty so readily placed upon them. I've learned that it doesn't matter what culture you come from, because many of the pressures pertaining to beauty are the same. There seems to be a global beauty that we are all trying to obtain, but can never quite reach. That is because beauty is not concrete, but ever-changing in shape, size, color, and form.